It's not.
Hello and welcome to How to Deal When the Shit Gets Real podcast. I'm Rietta and I am back with the lovely Jen. And we decided that we needed to have a girls' chat about perimenopause because we are in the midst of it right now.
Yes. Yeah, I did not think that. So my doctor kept telling me, I don't think that you're in perimenopause. And I was like, well, then I have Alzheimer's and I am having something really wrong with my period because I haven't seen her in months, you know? So I was
Like,
like,
yeah, she
uh,
disappeared and my brain's not working.
yeah,
So,
and I
something's
can't.
wrong.
Something's happening. Yeah. So I don't think it's talked about enough, especially for, you think of
Mm-mm.
menopause and you think of perimenopause, and you're thinking, oh, that's for old ladies. Like you're thinking old ladies, like 60s, 70s. And, perimenopause starts in our 40s. It can start as early as 45. So I'm 47 and I am feeling it, man. The brain fog is, I couldn't remember what the name of a spoon was the other day. Like I couldn't remember spoon. Like I was trying to tell my kids, and they're like, "What do you want?" And I was like, it's like the shovel that we used to eat." My daughter
It,
goes, "A spoon?" And I was like, "Oh, yes."
it's so funny you say that. I literally just saw a TikTok, I want to say like yesterday, or the day before, of women talking about like the different words that they couldn't think of and like the random ways they were using to explain it. And I was crying,
Yes, I
laughing.
think I saw that one. The one girl was talking about how she couldn't remember car. She's like, the driving cage, the cage that we drive. It really is though. It's like you have like some like Alzheimer's. It's like you're talking and all of a sudden it's like, wait, I know what this is. What is that? And it won't come. You cannot find the word. It is crazy to me. And I can't tell you how many times I've walked into a room. And I mean, I've done that before just from being busy, but now it's literally like, what did I walk in this room for? What am I doing here? What's
Mhm.
happening? Where are we going? What is going on?
Yep. That was the first thing I noticed too, especially because like I work and I deal with all sorts of different stuff. And like I could not think of like, I could think of the word, but it would take me way longer. And I'm like, why is this taking me so long to think
Yes,
of this word that I see every day?
all the
And
time.
I just turned 40 this year. So like I was in denial for a while because I was like, there's no way. I just turned
It's
40. Like,
so
this is
early.
too soon. And then I talked to my neighbor about it, and she's 39. And she's like, no, I'm feeling it too. And I'm like, okay, I guess this isn't too early.
Right. Are you getting hot flashes? Because my bout of hot flashes was insane. Like,
I get both. I go
okay,
from hot to cold to hot to cold. There was no in between. I was either hot or I was cold.
freezing.
There was
Yes.
no in between.
Yeah. Well, I had like when it first started, all these symptoms started coming, and I just noticed because I was also like, I'm not in perimenopause. I'm too young. And then I hadn't seen low for like 8 months. She was gone. She like never came. And I was like, well, I'm definitely not pregnant because I was on birth control. So there was no way that I was pregnant. So I was like, what is going on? And then when it hit me was I had an IUD in after my son, and the IUD was good for 7 years. So my son is 8. So they took the IUD out, and I was in between like putting back another one. And so we have to wait a month. And then my doctor was kind of like, let's see how your body reacts. And I was like, okay. And I immediately I was burning up at nighttime, like so hot. I couldn't get naked enough
Why is it
to
why is it always at night? Like
always.
I'm never warm at night. And I was literally throwing off blankets. Even my husband was like, what is happening?
Yes.
I'm like, I'm sweating.
Yes, I woke up one time and woke up because I was so hot. I felt like literally I was on fire. Like there was like fire at my fingertip. And I felt my husband's hand and I was like, what are you doing? He's like, I can't sleep because you're emitting so much heat. And it's like you are hot to the touch. I thought you had a fever. And I was like, no, it's only like my torso that's hot.
Mhm.
Like my head is not hot, my extremities are not warm, like I have a fever. It's just like all where my reproductive organs live. It's very, very hot.
See, I just feel like I get hot in general, but actually, I'll have to pay attention if it's everywhere else. I
Mm,
remember when my mom got her first hot flash, we were in the car and she thought I turned on her heated seat as a joke and she just started yelling at me. And she's like, "Why did you do that?" And I'm like, "Do what? I'm sitting here. I didn't do anything." She's like, "Why'd you turn my heated seat on?" I'm like, "Look at the button. It's not
it's not
on."
on. Well, and then asked my doctor too, because I was like, okay, I haven't seen my period, and they're like, hey, we'll do some tests, but you may be in perimenopause. And I was like, how would I know? And so they gave me like checklists, right? Like
Mhm.
you're at hot flashes, brain fog, you'll be more irritable. Things that didn't bother you will, you'll have a short fuse and stuff. And I was like, well, the hot flashes and all that I don't have, but like everything bothers me. I have 3 children. Like my fuse is already like, how do I know it's like extra that it's bothering me? And he
Facts.
was like, your family will tell you. And I was like, oh, and he's like, because they will notice. Like you
Mhm.
will be very, very short. And sure enough, like lately, my kids are like, why are you being so mean? Like, are you okay? And I was
You
like,
okay?
Am I being mean? They're like, yeah. Like, I was like, I
See, the
just don't
other
like,
thing that happened to me is like I've always been a pretty good sleeper, and then all of a sudden it was just like sleep was just a struggle, and I was like, "What is happening?" And that is
yeah, yeah.
another indicator when you're just sleeping like poo poo.
Do you have extreme fatigue too?
Yeah, I was getting tired. Like I said, I couldn't control temperature. Period. I was either hot or cold. There was no in between. The brain fog. Um, the like what you talked about in your video. This is why I laughed when I saw your video. The redistribution of
Okay,
fat.
yes. Can we
I
talk
was
about
like,
that?
I was like, that's
Because
a thing.
it's a thing. I had to research it. Okay, so my girls have been feeling a little larger. Like they're getting bigger. And I'm like, no, there's no way. Like I'm tripping. And so I would be washing myself. So I had to ask my husband, and I was like, this is crazy. But like I need you to do they seem bigger? And he's like, let me see, right? So of course he's such a dude, right? So he's like,
Right, of course.
let me look, right? And so he's like, actually, he's like, they're wider. Like he's like, I never like they used to fit in the palm of my hands, and he's like, and now they overspill it. I said, I know. I feel like when I'm washing them, and so he is a Google king. So he's googling, and he's
I
like,
love it.
yeah. So he's like, oh my God, it's a thing. He's like, it says, and that's where he showed me. He was like, that during menopause, your fat will, or your body redistributes fat, redistributes around you. And I was like, can it redistribute to my ass then? Like, I was like, I would
Can I
prefer
have
that.
control where this
Can I
goes,
have
please?
control where it goes? But yeah, so, and they're not sore, or like some women were telling me that they get sore like they're growing again. So mine aren't sore. They just like I've noticed that my bras weren't fitting, and I thought maybe I shrunk them in the wash. Like I was like, oh, the
Isn't
kids
that
wash
funny?
my
That's
stuff.
isn't that funny? That's where our brains go as mom. We're like, the kids have to shrunk
The
something.
kids, they shrunk something. I am not gaining weight. They shrunk something. So, yeah, and I was like, oh my God, my bras are not fitting, and it was crazy. But and then I asked my doctor, she's like, yeah, that's one of the things. It doesn't happen to all women, but that is a very common. I was like, great. Well, I'm carrying, a D cup already. We can pause on that. Like I'm good.
Yeah, see, mine went more like to my thighs and a little bit,
Mm,
you get the little bit of the like the tummy. You get more of the little of the
yeah,
mama tummy or the pooch or whatever you want to call it.
yes.
Um, the speed bump.
Yes, yeah. So that's what I was going to say. Did you notice you get a little more soft in that area? Because
Yep,
you work out pretty regularly, and I
I
work out
do.
regularly.
I do.
So
Don't get me wrong, your girl loves some food, so I'm not gonna I love me some food. I know you do too. So like, but yeah, it definitely got a little softer there. The thighs got a little softer. I mean, I'm like, what's happening? Like,
it,
I've
I,
never weighed this much in my entire life.
I'm convinced that we're shapeshifters. Like women are just shapeshifters, and this is
Facts.
our transition into shape shifting. Because they're like, you're not going to have kids anymore, so let's just pat on everything that you need, because yeah, the what the hormones like. Well, and what's crazy is a lot of times the doctor was telling me that sometimes, a lot of people think estrogen, but sometimes it's the progesterone that you guys need, that you have a lower progesterone. And I didn't even think about that because I'm not huge on taking a ton of pills. I'm already on pills for my high blood pressure and I don't have a thyroid. So even that, because I don't have a thyroid, my hot flashes are hard to track because sometimes it's due to my thyroid medicine being junky.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Yeah. And so we got that all figured out with my doctor, and I just really didn't want to go on another pill. So I was asking her, like, is there foods that we can eat and, or diet wise? And she was like, yeah, you could do legumes and all the things I don't want to eat, yams. And like, I was like,
I don't want to eat that.
None of that
Never
sounds
mind.
fun. Yeah, none of that sounds fun at all. She's like, well, soy has estrogen in it, but it's not the same as taking an estrogen pill.
Yeah.
So I just went actually to get all the blood work done. So I have to go next week and figure out like where my progesterone and estrogen levels are, because the hot flash. Now, did your symptoms like come and go, or pretty consistent since you started noticing the symptoms?
They were pretty consistent. The one thing I didn't have, unlike you, is I did not miss my period. I already am on hormones. I started HRT in March.
Okay.
And she upped both my estrogen and my progesterone last month. And that was the first time I missed my period because my body was like, whoa.
Whoa. Okay.
What's
so even
happening?
more so, you wouldn't think you were in perimenopause because you're still having your period. Like you're still.
Yeah. So that's why when I first started talking to somebody about it, and she was like, you have perimenopause, or you could potentially have perimenopause. She actually said it was one or the other. It was either thyroid, like you talked about, because they have very similar symptoms.
Very similar, yeah.
Or it's perimenopause. She actually didn't do blood work to check my estrogen and progesterone levels. We just did like blood work. And my cholesterol was a little elevated, which there's studies that say that when your cholesterol is a little elevated, it's because when your estrogen goes down, it protects that. Like, I'm not a doctor, y'all, so this is not going to be perfectly scientific, but your estrogen helps protect against cholesterol or something like that. So when your cholesterol elevates a little bit, that's a sign that your estrogen is potentially low, especially since I've never had high cholesterol in my entire life.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense because have you ever heard in like survival, like have you ever talked to a survivalist or read survival books where like if women's body goes into survival mode, all of the blood rushes to the reproductive organs and you hold fat because you're supposed to reproduce. And that's why our extremities get really cold when we're under distress, because it all goes to where your reproductive organs is. And then men, because of the testosterone, they'll get really hot in their arms and their legs because they're supposed to be, the protectors and the fighters. And so their extremities will get really hot. So that makes sense. So
I love stuff like that.
Me too. I love reading science book, a bio dork, but that makes sense because it's probably holding on to fat if you're going into that kind of.
That was one of the biggest red flags for me, was gaining weight. I was like, what is happening? I haven't really changed my lifestyle that much. Like, I've always been very active. Yes, I do have a sit down job but I've had that longer than the weight gain was happening. So I was like,
right. Well, you have, and nothing changed. Like that was the thing, is that you have a lifestyle where you're, pretty regular exercising, I think. And you, like you said, like nothing have changed eating wise. So did the weight gain come fast for you? Like, was it significant?
No, it wasn't fast, but it was one of those things where I'm sure a lot of women will kind of relate. Like the first couple of pounds, you're just like, okay, we're moving. I'm stressed. Like, I think it, like, I had left Hawaii. We moved again.
Stress eating.
Like my husband's in the military. Like, so, we're women. Most of us, I think, ignore things until like you finally step on the scale and you're like, holy crap, what is happening? Why does this
you're just living life.
Like, I'm not doing anything wrong here.
Again, the scale's broken. That's my go-to. This is broke.
This is broke. So I was like, and that's why the doctor, when I originally talked to her, was like, it really could be your thyroid. Thyroid issues actually do run in my family. That was the one pill my 92-year-old grandma took, even when she passed away, was just for her thyroid. She didn't take anything else. So it very well could have been my thyroid. But I started taking the HRT, and almost right away, the hot flashes went away.
No kidding.
and I started sleeping better. The brain fog took a little longer, which makes sense. You know, I think there's a little more going on there. And
Yeah.
obviously the weight isn't happening instantly either, because that's just
It's
how
just
we
that's
roll.
just women.
That's just how we
So
roll.
like
It's fine. Everything's fine.
we're fine. Everyone's fine. We're totally fine. Everything's fine. Well, how about the irritation? Because like that's the one that I've noticed the more in me. It's like, why am I so irritated with stuff so much? Like, did you find your fuse was a little shorter?
I did. I don't think as much as, you know, how we are kind of on like a different scale. I
Yeah.
definitely felt more irritated, but that wasn't like the big red flag to me. I thought like, I thought, oh, I'm just stressed. You know, again, my
Mhm.
husband's in the military, my dad's ill, I'm working from home, doing all
Well,
this stuff.
and
Like,
as women, we immediately go to like all the external factors that are affecting this
yep,
because we're just trying to hold it down, right? We're just trying to make peace for everyone else and completely forgetting how all these external factors are affecting us. And so
yep,
then it's like, okay, that must be what it is. You know,
yeah,
there's never anything wrong in our body. We
no,
don't go there
never.
first. We don't go there
Well,
first for
and
sure.
then I've already had anxiety. I've had anxiety since I was 6 years old. Anxiety slash depression are both potential
Yes.
symptoms as well. So like that wasn't anything new.
Yeah. Well, yeah. And that was thing too. Like I noticed, like I just had moments where, and I think I vlogged about this a little bit in this last month where it's like, I just had days where I just didn't want to get out of bed. And I hadn't felt like that in a long time. And I'm very aware, you know, we've talked about that of the depression. Like I have debilitating depression if I let it take control out of me. So I'm in constant maintenance and therapy for that to show up for myself and show up for my kids. And so there was very heavy days. And in looking outside at the external factors, there wasn't anything that should have been causing those heavy days. You know what I mean? Like we didn't have a crisis. There
Right.
wasn't anything I was super stressed about, but I would wake up really, really heavy. Like, man, today's not the day. Like, I'm sorry, I can't do today. Like, I just need
Mm-hmm.
to go to sleep and go. So when I mentioned that to my doctor, they said, oh yeah, you know, because you have a history, you got to be really mindful and careful of that because it kind of escalates that kind of mental health issues,
Yeah.
which that was not on my radar at all, which was, and I don't think anybody talks about that stuff. You know,
No.
they don't talk about the change that happens when you're in your 40s and 50s as parents because as you said, as moms, we just kind of roll with the punches. Like that's
We
just
do.
mom getting older. That's just what, oh, you know, she just has a lot on her plate, you know, and we'll tell ourselves the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
And immediately not think that there's a hormonal imbalance or that there's a chemical that, you know, it's just us being irritated because we have too much going on, or it's us being tired, or I can't lose the weight because I'm just not exercising enough, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we always tend to blame ourselves for sure. I think that's why I didn't think about the weight right away myself either, because I was like, oh, I must be doing something wrong. I'm eating too much.
Mhm.
I've hit 40, so my metabolism's not the same. So that just must be it. Like it can't be anything else. And then I talked about it with my last guest on my last episode, because she talks about this a lot too. There is a lot of people that have negative feelings about HRT still from that 2000 study that related it
Interesting.
to breast cancer. Um,
Oh,
and I actually watched the negative effects of that study in my grandma, because that study came out. They took her off hormones, and then she ended up with atrial fibrillation because they cut her off of HRT cold
wow.
turkey. And it's since come out, and there are still people though that are going to disagree with this, but there has been stuff that's come out since that there's not a straight correlation or a strong belief anymore that HRT
It's
relates to breast
directly
cancer. Now,
correlated.
obviously, if you already have it in your family, that's kind of a different story. Like for me, it's not in my family. I don't have any really cancer in my family. So when I went on HRT, that was never like a concern for me.
Sure.
Um, and I understand why it is for some people. I just don't like that it's scaring some women away from something that could be potentially helping them.
Right. Well, I think that goes with everything, especially with women, you
True.
know, that like anytime there is anything like that, I mean, you know, anything that's man made that we're putting in our body is we don't know how it's going to affect us. You know, it's not a
Absolutely.
natural chemical that performs in our body. I mean, scientists are amazing. You know, I was a bio major, so I'm all about, you know, science for medical purposes and all of that. And so, but anytime we do that, so I think anytime they have something where they can point it in the negative direction, immediately people will get on that bandwagon instead of doing research. Because I think what works for one person is not going to work for the other.
Oh,
We are so
absolutely.
designed
Agreed.
differently. And I agree with that. Like, I don't think that it should be scaring away women that, could potentially be very successful and help in this. Like, I mean, I think that's why we want to talk about it. That's why we want to bring
Yeah.
it to the forefront is, your experience on it. And like, so that's something, see, I didn't even know about, I mean, I knew about the study, but not to that degree, like what has been going on. And so hearing your story now, when I go to my doctor next week, I can talk to her and be like, okay, this, my friend is on this and this is her experience on it. What do you think it'll do for me? If that's what they want to put
Yeah, of
me on.
course.
So
And
is it a pill that you take? Is it in
of,
pill form?
and of course, just real quick, there's never one answer for everybody, right? Like, I'm not telling everybody like go get an HRT. Just
No.
obviously find something that works, but just don't be afraid to explore that as an option. To answer your question, so the estrogen is a patch, which is fantastic. You just
Yes.
slap it on there. You change it twice a week. The progesterone is a pill. At least for me, I think most people do use it as a pill, but some insert it vaginally because then it doesn't have to go through the liver. I take mine. My doctor never mentioned anything about it vaginally. I don't know if I would want to.
Yeah. I don't know if
Not saying that it's a bad thing, of course. Like, if that works, it works. I know plenty of people that do it that way, but like, I take it at night before I go to bed because it makes you really sleepy, which is great. That's how it helps you go to sleep. So I take it like 30 minutes before bed. I go to bed with my gummy. I'm out. It's fantastic.
Nice.
Of course, it does go through your liver.
Right.
And I have noticed that if I do decide like to drink alcohol, I don't drink alcohol very much anymore. But I do notice that if I do, like, I don't feel the same because obviously the hormones are going through your liver, and then the alcohol is trying to go through your liver. So like, my body is not processing it the same. And the last time I did have a drink, I did not. My body was like, we don't like this.
Yeah, it's like conflicting inside. Yeah,
it's like you're giving the liver too much and it can't handle it.
It's like I'm overworked as it is. Okay,
it's like, don't give me any more.
No more. Man, that's amazing. So you did you get on the pill and the patch at the same time?
Yes. What I was told, and again, I'm not a medical professional, so I'm probably not wording this 100% correctly, is that you need the estrogen and the progesterone together because, like, the progesterone like protects somehow with the estrogen. Again, I don't remember the exact wording, but there's a reason. Like, when she upped my estrogen, she had to up the progesterone, so they were like in balance.
Oh, okay, that makes sense because we're at a hormonal imbalance when we're going through perimenopause.
Yeah, it like protects your uterine lining or something like that. Again, guys, look it up. I don't remember everything she told me, but there was a reason that you're supposed to do both. At least what I was told, anyway.
Yeah. She did mention that when I went to the doctor. She mentioned the patch to me for the estrogen, and that's why they did the blood work. Is that they just wanted to see where I kind of fell, and they did. And now that you mention it, I have to go. Like, they did check my cholesterol too. When I went to get blood work, I had 6 vials taken, so they were just checking everything. And then just being on thyroid meds too, I think it affects what I can take as well.
Well, I mean, that would make sense.
Yeah. So I have to. I don't know too much about that, but she did mention that. She's like, since you're on, I take levothyroxine because I don't have a thyroid at all. So I have to supplement whatever the thyroid would make.
Let's see if we can Google while you're talking. I'm going to see if I can Google while you're supposed to take both. Keep talking.
Yeah. So she said, so we'll see. Most likely we'll put you on the progesterone patch if you feel like you need it. But like I said, I did ask her for the dietary stuff. So I'm trying to implement that kind of stuff before I get on another pill. Because right now I'm on 3 pills in the morning. So that's a lot going through me every day.
I get you. Well, at least if you do like what I'm doing, if you have a patch, that's not a pill. So you're just slapping that. You change it twice a week. And then the progesterone at least is nice. You just take it before you go to bed. So
did you have any side effects immediately, like that you noticed from it?
I have not. When I first started taking it, the only like side effect I had is I had a little bit of cramping. Nothing out of the ordinary.
Yeah,
like
they said that's normal.
Normal period-ish cramping, but not quite as like extreme.
Yeah.
And then when it was upped just recently, like I told you, I skipped my period, and then I had to, like what you were kind of talking about, like my boobs just felt like fuller and like sore, and I was like, am I pregnant? It can't,
Yes.
but it can't be because my husband is snipped. So like that would be.
Did
you imagine that baby story? I'm going through perimenopause and he's snipped and we somehow made a baby.
That baby was meant to be born. That's why that
Lord
baby's
have mercy.
Cancer.
Knock on wood. I still haven't gotten my period yet. We might be laughing about this later. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not gonna.
Oh my God, I would die. That would be so funny. You'd be like, so
I would literally die. I'm not
talking about her late life pregnancy.
That would be that would literally be immaculate conception. But I did look it up. Actually, I was right. So if you still have your uterus, you must take progesterone alongside systemic estrogen to protect the uterine lining. Yeah. Estrogen stimulates the growth of the endometrium, and without progesterone to balance this effect, the lining can overgrow, significantly increasing your risk of uterine cancer. Oh, and so that's why you need both. Yeah. Yes. So I did remember.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense because you're not having your period, so you're not shedding that lining anymore. So since your period has left, has it showed up at all?
That just happened. So I just upped last month. So like that period in June or whatever was the first time I missed. So we're here in July. It should be showing up soon, any day now. That and then we'll see what she says. Maybe I'm too high now. You'll see. Yours might even be easier because they tested your estrogen and your progesterone directly. Like she just did a full blood panel for me, and then we're just trying to kind of find the balance. So I might maybe be too high now, and before I was too low, so maybe I need to be in between. I don't know. We'll see what the doc says. But I don't feel bad. I still had brain fog, which is why she upped it a little. Yeah, because I was still having that brain fog, and you know how it is. Like that's probably one of the worst symptoms. Like yes, the sweating and everything sucks, but you can kind of
handle those physical
find a fan, right?
Yeah. I'll jump in the pool. Fog, I'll go to the beach. Like I'll deal.
The brain fog, you're just like, you feel stupid.
So stupid. And then it's like it's simple things. Like I could understand if it was like things I don't use every day, but it really is like the everyday. Like I forgot. I was driving home, or yesterday. Here's a perfect example. You're in the left. So my husband was laughing at me. He's getting ready for work, and then he calls me out of the bedroom, and he's like, "Babe, did you make the coffee or did the kids make the coffee?" And I was like, "I made coffee. Why?" And he's like, "Come here." And he looks, and it's just clear water. Like I didn't put the grounds in. I put the filter in, and I put the water in, and I was like, "What happened?" And he's like, "Well, I don't think you put the grounds in." I was like, oh. And you know what and then he's like, he always teases me because he looked it up and he's like, "Did you know that it lasts like 10 years? Menopause lasts 10 years, up to 10 years.
Thanks. I needed to know that.
Right. Like I was thinking it's like a season. Like I got 6 months of this thing. And like, he's like, "Babe, I'm in it for the next 10 years. Like, it's okay. I'll just continue to make coffee." After I was like, 10 years. He's like, "I Googled it. I've been researching it. And you check every single box, babe. Every single box."
Oh, I love that he's researing it for you. That's so sweet.
Yeah, he really tries. I mean, I think he's just trying to save his ass, to be honest, because he doesn't want me to like. He says when I'm mad at the kids or when I get angry about like maintaining the house, that he'll come home from work and he could feel the heavy energy when he walks through the door, like it hits him. And he's like, "I don't know what it is." He's like, "But I know that it was a bad day, or you want to like kill our kids because you are, as soon as I walk through the door, I can feel it." And he's like, "I immediately get a headache." He's like, "I'm trying not to be like the receiver of any of that."
He's like, "I don't need your negative juju. Keep it to yourself."
Yeah. So I was like, oh man, I couldn't believe that it was 10 years. And I was researching, I was like, man, 10 years of like brain fog and just all of this. And that just becomes your normal, you know? And then the sad part for me is because people don't talk about it like this, right? Like you're even in, you know, like girl dinners and stuff like that. I don't ever remember my mom and my aunties talking about this kind of stuff when I was around.
Me either. I talked to my mom about it once I got there, and I'm like, "Hey, did you feel like this? Did you ever get on medicine?" And and she's like, "No, my doctor wouldn't put me on it because I think they were still dealing with the repercussions of that study." So the doctor was like, "No, you're good." And because of course I went to her, even though we're adults, I'm sure you do too. I still go to my parents sometimes and I'm like, hey, like this is happening. The doctor suggested this medicine, but I don't know if I should take it. And my mom was like, take it. She's like, why
Right.
wouldn't you? Like the worst
Yeah.
case is like if it doesn't work or if it makes you feel like shit, you stop
Get
taking
off
it.
it. Yeah, just get off it. But to have a solution like that, because there's conversations happening, I think like women like us need to bring it more to the front, which is
Yeah.
why I was like, yes, let's do this. Like, let's talk about
Yeah.
it and make it normal. Because even I've met women that are like in their late 50s now, and they're like, I started going through perimenopause and going through menopause when I was in my 40s, and nobody talked about it. So you think
Mhm.
like you're the only one feeling this, like something's wrong with you, and before it was talked about in all these studies, it was addressed as like an autoimmune disease, like that was really
Mhm.
popular, that there's something physically wrong with you. But the overall, like, going back to how women carry things, it's like anytime there's something wrong, like with our bodies or with women, we're just supposed to like, okay, well, now you know what's wrong, but push through. Like, just still live life like normal. You got to still mother. You got to still do this. There's not like any accommodations for that. That's just being a woman. Like, how many times have you heard that? Like, that's just that's welcome to womanhood. That's just being a woman.
Yeah. Or we could have
Like,
been, our parents' generation where the doctor was just like, no, I'm not putting you on it. And it was just like, okay, well, cool, I guess. I'll
great.
just suffer. Because literally when I
Yeah.
talked to my mom about it, she's like, I wish I could have gotten on it, but the doctor refused to put me on it. And I was like, oh, okay. I figured
Right.
I always just assumed that she just made the choice to just deal with it and
Yeah,
come to
because
figure
that
out
was the
now.
generation was like, no, I just
Right.
deal with it. Like, we
Yeah.
didn't have those options. I
We
could
didn't
see
have
that
it. And there are other
happening.
options now, obviously. I actually just talked to a girlfriend of mine. She's actually using a GLP-1 to manage her perimenopause symptoms, which I actually didn't know that was a thing until just a couple weeks ago.
Oh,
Apparently it does all sorts of things. I don't know if that is like a fully reliable source. I just know from a
yeah,
friend that takes it that it's worked for
that
her.
it's helping her.
Hmm.
Yeah, maybe it helps with I can imagine that helping like with the fatigue and maybe the weight loss, like the,
She said the hot flashes, which I was surprised. I
oh,
was like, interesting. But maybe that's a crossover with like
maybe it's
pre-diabetes. Like I
yeah,
don't
like
know if
the
there's like a
metabolism, because the
yeah,
GLP-1 will like monitor, like balance out your metabolism. So
yeah,
maybe that helps to keep it at bay.
yeah.
So are
I will
you,
be
go ahead.
go ahead.
No, you go.
We're great minds. We're both like, go ahead.
I know. You go.
Um I'm just excited to see if it helps you. I always like to see like if it's gonna help. Like my neighbor just went on it too, so I'm like, let me know if it
Ooh.
helps you. Like I want to know
Yeah,
how you
no,
feel too.
I'm so glad that we had this discussion, to know that you're on it, because when she was talking to me about it, I was like, she's like, did you have anyone in your family that went through? I was like, no, nobody in my family talked about this. Like, if they went through, I didn't even know what it was until I went to college and learned about it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
nobody spoke about menopause or perimenopause and what it was like to not have kids and stuff. And so the crazy thing too with mine is that, okay, so I I had my last period last July, up until May. Okay, so I had been telling my doctor, I think I'm in menopause. I haven't had my period. So they were doing all these tests, because at first she was like, no, you're too young. Like, you're too young. There's something going on with your uterus. Let's go look at it. And then they took the IUD out, and she was like, I think it's just your body adjusting to not having the IUD. Because then I opted for not having the IUD, because I was like, I'm 47. Like, my husband is taken care of. Like, nothing's going
Yeah.
to happen.
You don't need
Right.
it. Yeah.
Right. So then, and then I went, she sent me um, to get an ultrasound of my uterus,
Mm-hmm.
to make sure that I didn't have like fibroid or stuff happening in there. And
Mm-hmm.
at the ultrasound, appointment said the same thing. He was like, you're really young. He was like, I don't think that it's perimenopause. He's like, it's probably just you adjusting to the IUD. And I was like, it's been 8 months. Like, if my period is gone, you guys, she's not showing
Right.
up anytime soon. Like, it's
She's not
been
showing
eight
up. She
months.
hasn't been here. She's
Right.
on
She's on
vacation.
vacation, right? Then in May of this year, she showed up out of nowhere with a vengeance. Like,
Of course she did.
I was like, what is happening? Like, I was in the middle of the mall because I was not expecting it. And it was like 3 weeks of her kind of hanging out, visiting. And then I haven't seen her. She didn't come in June. She didn't come this month. Like,
Well,
So
and that's a good important fact though too, because this is something else I don't think people talk about, and I didn't know about it either till I started talking with my doctor. Is that you have that what they call window of opportunity, that you have to
mhm.
get on hormone replacement therapy within 10 years of your final period or before the age of 60, and then if you
No
don't,
kidding.
like you're not like I don't know if you're not supposed to go on it, but like that's like the window where it's like going to be the most effective and like
Yeah.
so them making you wait too, which I mean, it was only a year, but like you still have that window of opportunity, and it's like, hello,
Yes.
can
Well,
I get a clue?
and I kept telling them, I was like, I really think it is. And when I went into my last doctor appointment, she goes, I said, well, I said, I read that if, your boobs getting bigger is a indication. And I was going through all of my checklists, and she said, so there's no chance you could be pregnant. And I was like, there's not a chance you can be pregnant. And she was like, why? And I was like, what do you mean why? I'm 47 and I haven't had my period in months. Like, I'm definitely not pregnant. And I was like, also, my husband is snipped. It's fine. Like,
I
we're
love using that line whenever they ask me, like, every time
yeah,
I go to the doctor, they're like, is there any chance you could be pregnant? I'm like, no, my husband's snipped.
yeah. No, there's no
And
no chance at all.
I know for anybody out there, it's like, it's not for sure. Listen, he's been snipped for 8 years. If it changes now, Lord have
Yeah,
mercy.
I know. They talk about like it can redirect or something like
Yeah, like
I read
regrow
about
or
grow
whatever.
or something. Yeah, I was talking about that. That's so funny.
I'm like,
So
yeah, but that's like a 0.001 chance. So let's not put that out in the universe.
no, please don't. That'll be a whole nother conversation.
But yeah, if you wait too long, it ups your complications of things to
Mm.
get on medicines. Like you also want to get into that window too. So that's another reason like I don't understand why we don't talk about it, because you have
Well,
that window of opportunity. And if you then once you're outside the window, then you even have then it's like what now?
and I've noticed too. I don't know if this was your experience, but I've noticed when I've talked to my other friends that have gone through it too, is that it's something that we have to bring up to our doctors.
Mm-hmm.
It's not something that they're kind of bringing up like when they're in our 30s. They're just like they have with other stuff where it's like, do you want to get on birth control because you've had your
Mm-hmm.
first baby and all that? They kind of bring that up to you. This is not anything that was brought up to me by my doctors. It was a
Nope.
conversation that I had to bring up, that this was
Same.
happening.
Yeah,
So
same. And
I find that interesting too, because there's
yeah.
so many things that they try and push on you, even at a young age, like get your daughter on this and as a woman, you should be careful about this and breast cancer. And
My other frustration too is and I don't know if this is just doctor specific. I ended up actually using MIDI Health, which is an online platform where you
yes,
can like talk to a doctor about it, because I was going to use my OB, but I also needed a pap smear at the same time. And I was like, hey, I need to come in for a pap and I'd like to talk to somebody about perimenopause. And they're like, we can't do both in the same visit. And I was like, what do you mean you
oh,
can't do both in the same visit? She's like, well, one's a normal exam, and then one's like, I forget what she called it, like a well visit, and then one's like you need a diagnosis, and like they can't be billed together. And I was like,
oh,
I'm not waiting another month to get on medicine because I'm sweating my
no,
ass off at night.
yes.
So I have to get it. You got to get your pap smear too. It's like I'm not
Right.
gonna.
Why am I gonna do that? Like it's the same.
And then it
It's all
takes
my
3 months to get in. So like I'm not gonna wait 3 months to get a pap smear, and I'm not gonna wait 3 months to get medicine. So like,
Jesus.
so I ended up
Yes.
just going to MIDI Health because I was like, I went and I was like, how soon can they? And it was like, I looked on like Friday and it was like Monday, and I was like, hell yes,
Okay. Yes.
fine.
Let's do that.
But
Yeah.
like,
But like,
why
should
can't
we?
we
We
do
should.
both?
Why we should be able to do, and that's an insurance thing. Like that's a whole other thing.
I know.
Like we can have a whole discussion about how the women's health and how insurance doesn't allow for women's health so much.
I mean,
like,
insurance dictates everything at this point. I
Yeah.
work with insurance, all day, every day. I know how ridiculous it is. It's just like,
yeah.
that was just a reminder of how ridiculous it is that like
Right.
I
That's a
can't go to my
personal.
doctor and talk
Mhm.
about two things at the same time that still both relate to my female parts, but that's not allowed.
Yes. That's crazy.
Right?
Well,
And I was like,
it's just surprising to me that they can't just put in like 2 separate codes for it too, right? Because it's all
right,
insurance codes. So that's
right.
what I was thinking.
Or like, let me just come in the next day so you can like run blood work.
Yeah, just to make it like
you don't even have to see me. At least like get the blood work going, and then you can make me an appointment 2 weeks later
and put
instead
it
of making me wait 4 months. Like Jeebus. There's got to be some middle ground. Right. Exactly.
Especially because we're having like active symptoms. This isn't like a
Right.
preventative thing. Like I'm in active symptoms right now, so I want something to ease my pain.
Right. Right. I'm not just asking you for shits and giggles
Yeah,
as much as I
exactly.
wish. But
So,
no.
when you brought it up to people and started talking about perimenopause, like how was the conversations? Were you surprised that more people were feeling the same way you were? Did other people bring it up to you? Because I know that I'm in my circle of friends, like most of the women, like I'm the one that's kind of at the forefront wanting to talk about it. Like,
Yeah, no, same. I think that's why, like, I knew we were meant to talk about it because, like, I saw your video on TikTok and I was like, okay, this is definitely a conversation me and Jen are meant to have because
yes,
I'm on the, the lower end of the range. I'm only
right.
40. And I wasn't an out there for a little while. So of course, when I was talking to other friends, they were like, "Well, I'm fine," or "Are you sure?" Or maybe it's your thyroid or this or that. And it's not that friends aren't supportive, but when they're just not in the same boat as you, that they can
Yeah.
only
Well,
understand
they
you
can
so
only go
far.
based on their experiences too. So on what
Right.
they've been exposed to.
And just like anything, some people get it later. I mean, I got my period way later in life. So like I didn't even start my period till I was like 15. So I
Oh
was not
wow.
expecting to already
Okay.
be in perimenopause at 40.
Yeah,
It's like I don't know what's happening here. Uh,
it's crazy. I
but
know.
yeah,
Our
it's
bot.
it's fun when you do start talking to people and you do find people that are like, "Oh yeah, maybe that's what's happening to me." So I'm kind of like you were like the reason my neighbor started going on it is cuz I was like I was telling her about it. She's like, "I have all those symptoms." And she's a nurse and I was like, I think you
You,
might be in perimenopause. And she's like, I'm only 39. And I'm like, I'm only 40. I feel you, girl. Like,
yeah,
I get
yeah,
it. Like, I wasn't expecting it either, but you're just like you said, you're check marking all the boxes of the symptoms.
yeah, yeah. You go through it, and then I think it has a lot to do with the food that we're eating here too. Where so our food is
Hmm.
so hormonal, like
Hmm.
injected, and so just as we evolve as humans, it's even more so our hormones are being affected by that. So it's not surprising that we're getting the symptoms younger and younger now
No,
because we're being
that's a good
exposed.
point. I didn't think about that. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
So
What about your Jonathan Kane group? Have y'all talked about perimenopause and menopause? I know you guys there's a very wide range in that group,
yeah,
but
yeah. Some a little bit like some of them will. I mean, they're very Jonathan Cain orientated, so that's really the conversation all the time with them. But there's such an age range of difference in a lot of the women there. So sometimes they'll talk about where they're at with that. But that's one thing that like even with them, it's not like at the forefront. That's like not that it's taboo, but I just think people don't they don't naturally bring it up in conversation.
mhm.
I mean, if I bring it up or if someone says, yeah, I started having these hot flashes, then people will jump in and be like, me too, like I've had this thing, but it's not a conversation that's kind of put out as a topic, which
Yeah.
is interesting to me because it almost feels like as women we're expected to just deal with it by ourselves. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah, I was just curious because I know like you've definitely gotten super close with some of the women in that group. I've gotten
Yeah.
fairly close with some of the women in that group. And as women, we try to stick together. So I just wondered
Yeah.
if it had ever come up in your
Yeah,
circle
there
there.
was
But
one I think she commented on that video that I did on TikTok, and she was saying that I'm so glad people are talking about this because when I started it 18 years ago, nobody was talking about this. Women weren't
mm-hmm.
talking about this, so she had no idea like what was happening with her body. Like she was like, I feel like I'm going crazy, and there was like nobody else that was experiencing this, or she thought right because nobody was talking about that. And I mean,
Right.
if you follow me on any of my platforms, you know that I'm an oversharer. So I share about my family, I share about my
Mm-hmm.
kids and whatnot. And if I'm going through it, I'm going to talk about it because I wish that there was, that there was a, um, what's the word? Like not platform, but like, there was just an acceptance of like, this is kind of what happens at this age as women.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like, you and I have talked about this too, that there's a certain silence that you're expected to be right? Like there's like you're like I feel like 20-year-olds are allowed to be really loud about things. 30-year-olds are allowed to be really loud about things. And then once we hit 40 and 50, I feel like now we're coming into at this day and age where the women are talking about being empowered and all of the things they're experiencing. But once you've become like I think the generations before us, it's like you've reached that age where it's like, okay, well now this is just motherhood and this is just womanhood and you're just dealing and you don't talk about those things because they're not new experiences, maybe. I don't know. But I feel like I never got the book on being silent about anything. So,
No, me either.
yeah.
I've felt this, I don't want to say a lot across my life, but in more than one occasion. I know the other big time that I remember feeling like, why did nobody talk about this was everybody talks about pregnancy, nobody talks about after. I wanted to hear more about the after because, like, nobody talks about how sensitive you are down there, the bleeding, how long the bleeding lasts. So, like, you're trying to take care of this little tiny baby, and then you're wondering, like, is this normal?
Right. Yeah. Or is what my body and like how your body has to go back to the original form, like nobody talked to me about that, like
Everybody,
the cramping and
yes,
all of that, that would happen,
yes.
I mean, everyone was
Everybody
very
talked about
concerned.
labor. Everybody talked
Yes.
about pregnancy.
Yeah, and even taking
Nobody
care of
ever
the
told me
baby
about
after,
after.
like
Yeah,
breastfeeding. Like I had to, you get a whole lesson on breastfeeding. And then I feel like even in the hospital with the nurses, it's kind of like, but I think that goes with women's health. And I think that's why menopause is not talked about. I think that's why where it just becomes like, okay, this is just going to happen to you and you have to deal. Here's your, you're going to have some bleeding and then just move on, go home and take care of the kid.
yeah.
Like,
And again, I just like perimenopause. I get that there's not a book that everybody can read that's going to fit everybody because everybody's post
different.
delivery is different. But it would have been nice to at least like have a slight understanding of like because I remember being felt like I was hit by a train.
Yes.
Like you have this brand new baby, your hormones are all over the place, and then you're like, what is going on down
Yes, yes. And why does my body feel like I did not feel like it was my body,
Yeah.
and the transformation that goes through that. And not only that, but the mental part of it, and I'm so
Mhm.
glad that people are starting to talk about postpartum depression and things
Yes.
like that, because
That's
that was
another
something
thing.
that was like non-existent forever.
Yes.
It was like you just need to get it, but I like physically, like mentally cannot. Like I'm in this depression. I didn't experience that, but my mother did. And I was really worried about experiencing it.
Mhm.
And my mother was very so, but again, like not talking about that, and then leading up to okay, now we're in menopause, where it's like it's this no, not habitual characteristic of like women's health is kind of like thrown under the rug a
Yeah.
little
And
bit.
actually, for the longest time, especially when I was younger, I just thought it was menopause. Like perimenopause wasn't even really like talked about until recently. At least I feel anyway. And
Absolutely, yeah.
I was surrounded by a lot of women. My mom is one of 7. They were all girls except one. Like I had plenty of women in my family. I
Me
don't ever
too.
remember hearing about perimenopause. I only remember hearing about menopause. So I was like, okay, I don't have to worry about it till I'm 50. Here I am
Yes,
at 40 going, what's happening?
yes. And why does my body feel like this?
Yes.
And trying to explain to people like it doesn't feel like your body. Like
Yes.
and especially the brain fog. Like this doesn't
Yes.
feel like my brain. And I mean, and okay, so I'm a tutor, remember, right? So I'm a
Yes.
math tutor. So it's like I depend a lot on this
Mm-hmm.
for
Yes.
my daily stuff. So I'm like, is that going to affect my teaching? Which is crazy though, but that part of my brain, I haven't seen that like teaching and
That's
math,
good.
like anything that I learned education wise is like still filed here really strongly. But
That's good. Yeah, it's usually
women brain,
random words.
it is. It's the other day too. I was driving and I literally forgot what off ramp to take. Like I was driving, I was like, is this my off ramp? I was like questioning it. Like I drive it 10 times a day going home. And I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
do I get off here? And my daughter, she tracks me on Life 360, right? So she calls me and she's like, where are you going? I thought you were coming home. And I was like, I am. Did I take the wrong off ramp? And she's like, are you serious? And I was like, I think I did. I missed the off ramp. I'm going to turn around. Like it was just so random, like where my brain goes. Like I just
Yep.
couldn't tell myself, yes, this is the off ramp for home. Like
Yeah.
I was questioning. It's crazy.
Yeah. Usually what happens to me, at least at the beginning when my husband was trying to figure it out, like we'd be talking and like I would be talking and then I'd stop and I'd pause and I'm like, I'm trying to give my brain time to think of the word. And then my husband would be like, are you going to finish your sentence? Like, what is happening over there? And I'm like, hold on, I'm trying to think
Right.
of the word. It's like, are you good? Do you smell toast? Are you having a stroke? What's happening? I'm like, no, I just can't think.
Yeah, no, my brain, it's like I always say the mice are sleeping. Like, I need to wake them up. They're not like, come on. Like, I know it's hard.
Somebody focus.
Someone focus up there. Yeah, it's crazy to me. Like, but that is the one symptom that like I've noticed like at the forefront, right?
Yeah, that was my big one too. Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely.
Just going through my daily life.
Yeah. And then I grew up in the 90s where everybody was stick thin. So I've already battled with body dysmorphia. And then this perimenopause body comes in and the body's dysmorphia is like,
right. And trying
can I just get a minute? Yeah. No. I'm like, can I just get a breather?
We don't.
I finally got my dysmorphia to be quiet, and then this comes in, and then I'm a little heavier, and the body dysmorphia comes back. I'm like, I just need everybody to be quiet for like 5 minutes.
I need everyone in here to be quiet. I want it to just be copacetic, right? Can we just be here? Like, can I be at my baseline for a little bit?
I come back as a man? Like,
I want to be a dog.
I changed my mind.
I'm like, I just want to be
a dog. Yeah, that'd be great.
That'd be amazing.
Somebody pets me and it feeds me. Yep, I'll take that all day.
I got water, and then I am not expected to do anything besides stay at this house, go on a walk. Like, that's the ideal life for me.
Yeah, the next life.
The perimenopause is for the birds, right?
Yeah, the next life for sure. Dear Jen, what do we want to leave everybody with after our lovely rambles about perimenopause? You always have good little tidbits at the end.
Girl, you're not alone. Yes. Like speak to people. You're not alone. Yes. Like thankfully, I mean, if you're not as outgoing as we are, I did a TikTok about it, and that's why we got connected to have this conversation. But you're not alone. Right. Like make that connection, because when we're all going through it, and like I said, just find your people, and you're not alone. This isn't only happening to you. So the more we talk about it, the more we normalize it, this becomes a support for all of us as women, and I think it's great that we find support when we become mommies, right? We always have like a mommy support group, or, a pregnancy support group, or, a empty nester support group, if people are but they never talk about women's health like this. And I think that that's where we really need the support. So you're not alone. If you're feeling it, trust me, somebody else is too.
Yes. I love it. Always a good reminder. We are not alone, and keep talking about it. Be the squeaky wheel that gets the oil.
Yes. Yeah, be the one that brings it up, and just ask, because you'll be surprised. You'll be like someone is waiting for you or for someone else to be like, yes, oh my God, I feel that too,
Yes, and talk about all the ways. There are many ways we can combat this. It doesn't have to be HRT. Jen talked about food. She's not about the food, which is fine. You can be about the food. Right. There's so many options. Don't just sweat every night and feel like you want to die.
Well, yeah, don't feel you have to endure. Like that's always a woman's thing. I'm just going to endure it. There's so many options to make it a peaceful, like nice and plausible way to transition into this new season in life.
Yeah, I honestly think that does show our positivity. I think that's part of the reason we endure. At least for me, that's part of the reason I endure, because I'm always like, well, this has to end sometime, right? It's got to go away at some time.
Yes.
Like women were always so optimistic. We're like, oh, it'll go away. It'll go away. Don't be it'll go away, girl. Take care of yourself.
Yeah, take care of yourself, and listen to your body. When you were pregnant, and we tell our kids, listen to your body. Us as older women and aging women, yes, we have to listen to our bodies.
That's perfect. And this is how to deal when the shit gets real, guys. More specifically menopause. And we'll see you all next episode.